What's going on, you guys? This is Ron with your second stimulus check update and second stimulus package update for Thursday, October 22nd. I hope you guys are doing very well today. I've got some big news for you guys. We've got word from President Trump as well as Chief of Staff, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, with regard to a potential stimulus deal within the next 48 hours. It looks like President Trump may actually step in and make this happen by the weekend. We've also heard from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in an interview. It was about a 65-minute interview from Nancy Pelosi earlier today. I'm going to share those details with you guys on the next stimulus package, as well as potentially larger stimulus checks for the American people. More on that in just a moment. But first, I just want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. I really appreciate you guys. And for those of you guys who are brand new to the channel, my name is Ron. We cover all things personal finance, investing, how to generate more money, and of course, stimulus checks. So if you're interested in any of that, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release new updates on any of these topics. And of course, it does take me a while to put these videos together. So if you can, do me a favor, definitely smash the like button. It helps me out. It helps out the channel. But anyway, guys, let's jump into the content. Oh yeah, and of course, if you haven't checked out the Financial Freedom Program already, you'll find a link for it in the description down below. It's a 40-minute awesome video. I dropped 3 amazing secrets that you can implement into your life to help your financial situation. Because of course, we all want to be more financially free. So definitely check out the link in the description down below. But anyway, let's jump into the content. We are now closer to an agreement on the next stimulus package with regard to negotiations than we've ever been up to this point. And leading up to this point, we've seen this big gap between the House of Representatives, mainly the Democrats, and of course the Senate, which, you know, is mainly Republicans. There was this big price gap in terms of negotiations. The Democrats were at $2.2 trillion. The Republicans are right around 1.8. And I think that Nancy Pelosi has made it pretty clear that she's unwilling to come off of her $2.2 trillion stimulus amount. But the good news is that we've seen an increase in the willingness for the Senate to come up in their stimulus offer. In fact, we heard from Marco Rubio, who is a Republican senator. He said that he's open to voting for higher virus stimulus because Americans need help. Senator Marco Rubio said today that he will be willing to support a much more expensive virus stimulus package than he'd like, because failing to provide financial relief to Americans and U.S. businesses presents larger risks to the U.S. economy. He also said that no one is going to get everything that they want here. And from my perspective, that means that the bill on this is probably going to be higher than I want it to be, and I'm very uncomfortable with that. So based on this, Marco Rubio is clearly expressing the fact that he's not comfortable with this larger stimulus package. This is the exact same rhetoric that we've heard from the Senate Republicans all along. The Democrats wanted to spend so much more money than the Senate Republicans were willing to do. However, here is the good news in his statement. He said that I think that the price of not doing something is even higher. So as long as it's limited in some way, as long as it's not crazy, yes, I'm willing to be flexible about it because I think it's that important. Now, according to what we're hearing, Marco Rubio's opinion reflects that of several Republican senators. Now, remember, President Trump doesn't need 100% of the Senate's vote to get the support on this. All he needs is 13 Republican senators to support the vote, as well as all of the Democratic Party in the Senate, and this bill will pass. He says, in the end, I think we run the risk here of structural damage to components of our economy if we don't do something. I have more optimism that we're going to have a deal on stimulus. I don't know if it will be before the election, just simply because of the calendar and some of the time constraints we face. So the optimism coming out of the White House has been incredibly high over the past several days over reaching an agreement on the next stimulus package. And in addition to that, President Trump is definitely stepping up his game. He has stated multiple times recently that he recognizes that his campaign is not doing so well, and it looks like he's doing all that he can at this point to make a deal happen before the election. We heard from Mark Meadows. He said, I am optimistic. We do share one goal, and that is hopefully to get some kind of deal here in the next 48 hours or so. Now, we heard that from White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows just yesterday afternoon. And not only was President Trump, Mark Meadows, and several others optimistic about reaching an agreement, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was interviewed earlier today. It was about a 70-minute interview with Nancy Pelosi. And here's what she had to say about the stimulus packages as of earlier this afternoon.
So I'm pleased that we have reached a point where we at least, they still haven't completely signed off on it, but I think we're just about there, that we will allocate, again, the resources and the policies necessary to do that.
Okay, guys, so you heard directly from Nancy Pelosi. This was during an interview that took place earlier this afternoon, probably maybe 4 hours ago, and Nancy Pelosi says we're just about there. According to Nancy, they haven't actually signed off on the agreement as of yet, but it definitely sounds like we're in the home stretch. According to Mark Meadows, he said that the discussions have entered a new phase as the White House and Democratic negotiators wrangle over language of a potential bill, though he did note that the two sides remain apart on the price tag. Meadows cited state and local assistance as the primary source of disagreement. Now, of course, we've heard from President Trump several times where, he said that he did not want to have stimulus checks, or rather the stimulus package funds, go toward bailing out these poorly managed, as he says, Democratic states. However, what we have heard from Marco Rubio, who is a Republican senator who would ultimately be voting on this bill, he says that, hey, I'm not happy with the size of the stimulus package either, but, basically it would be worse for us not to vote and pass this than to essentially be hung up on the price tag alone. And here's a direct quote from Mark Meadows. He said, "I can tell you that the negotiations have entered a new phase, which is more on the technical side of trying to get the language right if we can agree upon the numbers." He said, "We are still apart, still a number of issues to work on, but the last 24 hours have moved the ball down the field." And speaking to reporters later yesterday on Wednesday, White House Communications Director Alyssa Farah likewise said that officials were optimistic there could be some movement on a potential deal within 48 hours. And earlier in this video, I told you that larger and bigger stimulus checks could be on their way to the American people. And according to Farah, she said that the president's position is we're willing to go up on the numbers for PPP, which is the Paycheck Protection Program, loans, and the direct payments. Of course, the direct payments are the stimulus checks, also known as economic impact payments. She said that some of the issues still surround state and local and some of the other issues, but we're at the table. Conversations are happening. I think it's kind of the best place we've been in, so cautious optimism. Now, I don't know about you guys, but this is probably the best news that I've heard in a long time, and certainly the most optimism with regard to, reaching a stimulus package agreement that I've seen in at least the last several weeks. And in spite of the fact that Nancy Pelosi's stimulus offer is still several $100 billion north of where the Senate Republican wants to spend, Mark Meadows was interviewed late afternoon just yesterday in front of the White House, and he definitely hints toward the fact that the White House looks like they're going to be leaning toward reaching Nancy Pelosi's $2.2 trillion offer, even though it is still several $100 billion north of where they want to be. But I'd like you to hear it directly from Mark Meadows himself.
And if we can get that right, then hopefully the numbers will get right. Secretary Mnuchin and the president have actually moved more towards Nancy Pelosi in a spirit of trying to provide real relief for the American people. I haven't seen the commensurate move by Speaker Pelosi coming the other way. And so if there's a deal to be done, it's there for her to do.
All right, guys, so you heard it directly from White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. It definitely looks like, or it definitely sounds like, the White House is going north on their offer in order to meet Nancy Pelosi. However, the wording that he used, it sounded like, maybe they're going to come very close, but they might need Nancy Pelosi to come down just a little bit because they're not going to come 100% all the way up. That's what I'm picking up from what he said here. I don't know exactly for sure. Sometimes these guys speak in riddles and it's kind of hard to understand. And, they're trying to hold some cards back too, because again, of course, this is an outstanding negotiation that's taking place. So, I don't think that they want to reveal too much to the other side, which is the Democrats. If you're a Republican speaking to a reporter, you don't want to reveal too much of your cards because, again, it's still a negotiation. But anyway, guys, I thought that these were definitely some notable progressions moving forward. I love this 48-hour timeline here that, everyone's trying to make something happen before this weekend. I definitely hope that something happens. We're all rooting for more stimulus checks. But anyway, guys, that's all for the stimulus check update and stimulus package update. But really quick question for you guys. Drop me a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. With this stimulus package negotiation, do you guys feel like Nancy Pelosi is actually negotiating in equal fairness to the Senate? I'm just curious to know what you guys think. It does seem like we're seeing a lot more activity lately, at least from the perspective of, Mark Meadows and, President Trump's, their willingness to come up on that stimulus top dollar number. Nancy Pelosi's pretty much been firm at $2.2 trillion. If a deal happens, that would be wonderful. However, if a deal doesn't happen, I'd like to know from your perspective, do you guys think that, this would be more of an issue from, Nancy Pelosi should have brought her number down just a little bit? Or do you guys feel like the Senate should bring their number up just a little bit? So I'd love to hear from you guys. I'll definitely keep you guys posted on any future updates. Definitely subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so that you know as soon as I release the next update. Hopefully my next update will be telling you guys that, checks are in the mail. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take